Welcome to Bringing Hope Home. We're Bryce and Colette Schaffer, and we're on a mission to bring God's hope, healing, and practical strategies right into your living room. Whether you're navigating marriage challenges, parenting struggles, or just looking to build a stronger family foundation, we've got your back. Real conversations, biblical wisdom, and hope-filled solutions. That's what we're all about. So let's dive in and discover how God can breathe new life into your home and relationships. Hey, welcome to Bringing Hope Home. We are Bryce and Colette Schaffer, and we are in the month of March. And if you've been following us, we're doing a different theme for each month. And so, we're actually following the fruit of the Spirit. We're doing that with our church. And so last month was all love. And so this month,
you're taking the next one.
Is joy.
Just the way it's written in the Bible.
That's right. Joy, peace,
we can't go out of order. We got to take it the way it's in our heads. So, we're on joy this month, and I'm really excited about joy because really without joy, boy, life is pretty boring. And so you got to find joy in everything that you do, really. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do it, no one will do it for you.
Right. And I think it's good to know, too, when we're talking about the fruit of the Spirit, these aren't emotions. Now, you can summon up the emotion of love. You could summon up the emotion of joy, right, peace, patience. But these are fruit of the Spirit, which means when you become a Christian, these are deposited in your spirit. And now we can withdraw from what God has put into our spirits, our recreated spirits. Mm-hmm. And so joy is one of the things that He put in us for hard times, for good times. I mean, He is a joy God.
Right. It's an inward condition. It's an inward part of who you are. You're just supposed to become the fruit of that Spirit of God in you, regardless of outward conditions.
Mm-hmm. And He knew that joy is what we need to be strong.
Right. And some of that ends up in happiness and gladness and all these other words mm-hmm. that we put around joy and around circumstances. Yeah. But again, God is not an author of what we see or what we feel, but by what He knows and who He is. Mm-hmm. And that's what joy is then about who He is in our lives and what He can bring from it. And, I thought of the phrase, stop and smell the roses. Well, we are to stop and find the joy that God has given us. I mean, that just right there, simply put, stop and find the joy.
I think that's, stopping and finding the little moments to be grateful for that give us joy, the sunrise, the sunset, mm-hmm. Just little times in your day.
Right.
That brings joy.
That is important. So stop and find God in the moment, because joy is God. So do that. And like joy, like anything else, it can be a snowball effect. It's mm-hmm. something that can be a domino effect, another way of saying it. It continues to build upon each other and can gain momentum in your life. What can gain quicker momentum is negativity, but joy in the same case can. Love can. All these fruit of the Spirit can gain momentum in your life and help cause change for you, your marriage, your family, your job situation.
Right.
So,
have you ever been around somebody that is really joyful or really, a positive person?
Right.
It, rubs off on you.
Yeah.
You want to join the party. You want to join the fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it is much more fun, if I can say it that way, to have somebody that brings the joy to situations. And it's like, mm-hmm. yeah. And so that's what we're supposed to do. Bring the joy to every day, to the ordinary, to, life as you are living it. How are you bringing the joy? And that's something that you, again, are summoning from the inside of who your recreated spirit, to bring that extra, to bring that energy, we can summon that,
Right.
right? We have control of either suppressing it and succumbing to the situations, to the mundane, or we can summon joy and they say fake it till you make it, but really you do. If you put a smile on your face, it really does release those endorphins to make you joyful.
It does. It does. And, God is in everything. He's in the past, the present, the future, but we're in the present. And so he wants us to live in the present. Faith is now. Now faith is. And joy is now. Joy is not thinking about the past and living in the past, even though we can have memories from the past. And if we live in the past, your joy is going to be diminished because all the good old days. And so right there, you're already, it's in the past. It's never going to get any better. So that, that's part of it there. You don't live in the future when you're looking at joy, because when you live in the future, you're wishing, you're hoping, it's unknown. So you can plan for the future. Again, you remember the past, you plan for the future, but you need to live in the present where you are now, and that's where you'll find joy. Because, I remember with our kids, and we're not into our joy, podcast with kids yet, but I remember, I can't wait till they get a little bit older so we can do this or do that. And you kind of wish the time away, and you kind of wish the joy of the moment away. Looking back, that's at times, I didn't do it all that often, but I would want to hurry up the moment. And now that we have grandkids, I'm enjoying, maybe it's because I can just give them back, I don't know, but I really enjoy the moments and finding joy even in their cries, and those kind of things is important. So
yeah, I agree.
I do think too, if you're hurting in any way, it's really hard to find the joy. There's a lot of people out there right now that are in pain, physically, emotionally, or not even connected spiritually to God yet. And so, to find joy, and you're listening to our podcast today and you're hurting because of whatever the situation may be, you need to sometimes go care for that need a little bit, especially if it's a physical one or it's an emotional one. But let God deal with all those. I mean, he'll help you figure out that, and then you can start finding joy a little bit as well. So, sometimes through a cloudy day, you can't see the sun, but the sun is still there. And so remember, joy is still there in your life, even on a cloudy day of your life. And you don't want to lose that hope, which brings the joy. So again, it's okay to go seek help.
The Bible says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher. What are you looking at? And that's what's going to give you either, what you're looking at is going to steer your ship and steer your mental ship. So are you looking at the glass half full or half empty? Are you looking at things as a blessing, or are you looking at
Right.
So that's fix your eyes on Jesus.
Yeah. Now, how do you recognize God in these mundane or these everyday moments? I mean, that's kind of a place to be here as we're having this conversation. How do you do this? And that's kind of what our podcasts are about, bringing this hope home. So how do we do that? I think Colossians 3:1-4 talks about have your eyes on eternity, the real you, the real man, the real situation is eternity. Peter says our life is but a vapor. And so it's light affliction. And I know it's not light. I just talked about pain and having to deal with that. Those can cloud and really hurt how you see things. But at the same time, we got to see through that and sift through that with eternal eyes and an eye on eternity. And that certainly finds with hope. If you just had a loved one lost, to death, well, If they have Jesus in their hearts and you have Jesus in your hearts, there's an eternity for you. And this is just but for a moment without them.
Although it really hurts.
Even though there's a grieving process. And yes, there's things that you have to work through
We're
now.
not saying that it doesn't
Right.
hurt. We're not negating that.
No, you don't negate that at all. But you realize that this isn't the end of the story. I think that's important. And that brings comfort and joy. At least it does to me when I've lost loved ones. Another thing to look at is Elijah talks about it in 1 Kings. God was in the still small voice. To sometimes find that joy, you have to, again, stop and smell the roses. You have to just be at rest in yourself a little bit. Don't just be hurrying and loud noises. And too many of us like noise all the time. We're not comfortable without noise. But let God, through whatever it is that helps you, find that still small voice of God. And He's going to speak to you and bubble up in you some joy and some positive thoughts. One of the places I like to do it is when I'm out working out. I just do it. I put in my headphones. I don't put on my 80s rock 99% of the time. I put on Christian music. And He speaks to me in those moments, even though I might have negative thoughts going through. I'll find the joy of where I'm at, the joy in my situation, the joy in my day.
Joy works hand in hand with being thankful, being grateful. I think it is important to have a gratitude journal, something that you're writing, what you're grateful for each day, because it helps you train yourself to look for the joy.
Yeah.
To look for the things that are the bright. And again, it's the little moments. It doesn't have to be, you could say, well, if you knew my life right now. No, what about,
you got up this morning.
You got up this morning.
You get to tackle life this morning.
You're thankful for your home. You're thankful for whatever. I mean, the cup of coffee.
Right.
The smile that somebody gave you.
Yeah.
Recognizing just the little things like that. Again, being grateful will foster joy.
I think, again, going back to our kid analogy that I was using earlier too, I think I was never excited about the mess of our kids, but be blessed in the mess. Right there is finding joy in that mess, in that season of, you just picked up, you just did that, now all of a sudden it's already back to the way it was. Be joyful, and I get a chance to take care of these and steward these kids, these children of mine that are God's place at such a time as this. So those kind of things.
Oh yeah, when you're doing all the laundry and all the dishes, turn it to a thankful heart and a joyful heart that I get this. This is a blessing that I have the work. So many times we think we want the blessing, we see the end goal or whatever, and it's this huge blessing, and maybe it's we really want kids, and they try and we really want, you have this picture in your head, and you get there and it's work. Most of the blessings and most of the things that we're wanting to reach for, they're actually work. There's work involved. It's like, well, what are you expecting? You go to the next level, there is more work. So
more responsibility.
And if you want to find joy in life, you can't keep chasing the carrot of wait until this happens or until this happens. No, joy happens now, is like what we were saying. Now, right now, in the moment, right now, you could, wherever you're sitting or listening or walking, listening to us, what around you brings joy?
Yeah, pause this podcast and just give 10 seconds to praise Him.
Is it a song? Is it the birds? Is it,
Right. Paul says it in Philippians chapter 4, I am content in whatever state I am in. You can go read that for yourself. And he found out that it's not in the things, it's in the moments that I have and what I can affect in those moments that bring him joy. And kind of to start closing this down a little bit, how do you do that in your chaos of your day or your week or whatever? So purpose to put time together as a couple, as a family. We've always talked about it here, pizza night. We did Saturday morning breakfast, dinner at the table, hikes. We've always done those things that are purposefully finding moments to enjoy each other, to find a little time, a little slice of our life and reclaim it a little bit. So do that.
I would say try to find something every day, a time that you can, whether it's around the table, whether it's whatever, but every day you should have a moment that you're looking around.
And I think too, when you find joy, you go serve others.
Yeah.
Go serve in church. Don't just go be in church, go serve in church. Well, I'm too exhausted. Well, if you're too exhausted to go serve others, then you need to cut it back on other things so you can put in serving others, because that's where you're going to find joy. I thought when we were at Rhema and us going as a family to serve at the nursing home ministry, that was serving others, even though we were very busy, very tired. We chose every other week as a family to go serve for an afternoon.
We didn't want to at the beginning, and then at the end we were energized and glad that we went.
Right. And so find those times, again, find joy in celebrating. Purpose to celebrate. Last month was just Valentine's, and us guys were like, oh, we got to do something. Well, sometimes you got to prompt yourself to go find joy as well. And so do that.
Your mom was big on that. She would always tell you to celebrate the little things.
She was. That was one of her last things of her life when you asked her what,
she said, get the lobster.
Yeah, get the lobster. Celebrate those small things. So certainly do that. And then find joy in your mishaps. It's something that, again, I look back at my life. I get frustrated and furious with myself and the situations in the mishaps. Or when I would fix things, I would start it and then I wouldn't have what I needed and I had to stop and go figure that out. And I still get a little frustrated with those, to tell you the truth, but I'm trying my best in those mishaps to find joy, to find that moment. And
be lighthearted,
more lighthearted for sure. That's important, I think. The Seven Dwarfs gave us the song "Whistle While You Work." I think that's important. A little humming through the day, not a bad thing to keep the pep in your step, for sure. Even the biblical example of Paul and Silas sitting in the jail after doing a great thing of delivering a woman from demon possession. They got thrown into jail and got whipped because of it. And they're sitting there praising God. Now, they weren't praising Him for their situation and where they were stuck, but they were finding the joy of the Lord in that moment. And because of it, God shook the prison that they were in, that entrapped them.
I guess that's what we're talking about. It's not about just having a feel good. Yeah, everything is just, fluffy and no. This is tapping into, again, the Spirit. You're tapping into the Holy Spirit and tapping into what God has deposited in you. And so when you take moments to be thankful, when you take moments to be joyful and enjoy life, then God says, oh, they enjoyed it? Let's give them some more. I mean, how many times do you, or if you're a parent, do you like when your kid, enjoys something that you've done for them, or that they acknowledge something that you've done? It just makes you feel good. Well,
and do it again.
God wants to hear His kids that, we're thankful, that we enjoy the gifts that he's given us.
Right. Well, again, Paul and Silas probably didn't enjoy the whippings.
No.
So you don't enjoy that. And we'll get to that in another episode. But you enjoy.
But they tapped into the strength.
Right, an inner strength.
The inner strength and the
inner witness.
Things that God.
Yeah, for sure. So do that, and that comes, I think of the song by Casting Crowns, Praise You in the Storm.
Yeah. We'll talk more about.
And we'll get into that a little bit. So, as we end today, challenge yourself to go do something with joy. Purpose to put it in your life today.
The more ordinary your day is, try to dump some joy in there and it'll turn extraordinary.
Yeah, it will, for sure.
All right. Well, till next week, bring hope home to your life today.
If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. See you next week.